we just had we cheers before Ketone-IQ. We had our daily ketone shots. What the heck is a ketone? Like, 101, talk to me, like, ketones for dummies. What is the product? Why does it make me feel so damn good and dialed in? Talk to me like I'm an idiot, which I am with this.
We're all born knowing nothing. It is all good. We are all I didn't know what a ketone was at some point. So there's no really dumb questions here. A ketone is a form of fuel. There's calories inside of it. So the same way 1 gram of carbohydrates has what is it, 7
I think
how
it's
many
4.
calories
I
how
think it's 4.
many calories in a carb gram. Yeah, 4 calories per gram. The same way a gram of carbs has 4, ketone actually has 7 calories per gram. So it's a form of fuel. It's considered a macronutrient. It's really interesting because there's only 3 macronutrients. There's carbs, there's fat, there's protein, and now there's ketones. And it's this 4th macronutrient. It's this new form of fuel that your body can use to do all of the things that your body needs energy for. So that's thinking, that's running, that's recovering after your run, that all of the types of activities that your body does that create an energy demand that you need calories for, ketones can help fuel those activities. What makes them really special is they're really an efficient form of fuel. So they're able to turn, if people remember their high school biology, you have your mitochondria, power plant of the cell. They're constantly creating ATP, and that's like the energy currency of your cell. And ketones are able to create ATP more efficiently, so using less oxygen than carbohydrates, as well as creating less oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is basically like if your mitochondria is an engine, then you're creating some like gunk, like the same way in your car you need oil change. Like that oxidative stress that makes recovery harder. That makes there be more inflammation. That accelerates the process of aging. So ketones are a form of fuel that create less oxidative stress. Um, to demystify it a bit, this is not something that we just created out of the ether one day. Like poof, here's a ketone. The fact is that your body already makes and uses ketones all the time, and we have for 300,000 years. You make ketones inside of your body all the time from fat. So if you're ever on a long run, towards the end of your long run, you run through most of your blood sugar. You can only store like a finite, smallish amount of energy of carbohydrates as sugar in your blood and in your muscles and your liver. You can store like you know, like depending on how active you are, like you can, if you're just still, if you fast for a day or two, you'll burn through it. If you're running hard, you'll burn through it in a couple hours, and your body will start as your blood sugar goes down. It will start ramping up ketone production. So your fat on board on your body, you have a lot more fat than sugar or carbohydrates stored. Like in fact, like in order for your body to store sugar long term, you actually turn it into fat. And so even on a lean individual, even on like a marathon runner, cyclist, whatnot, you have 100 times more energy calories stored as fat than you do at any given point of like immediately available sugar or glycogen or carbohydrates, all using those terms interchangeably here. And so whenever you're running low on blood sugar, your body will make ketones naturally, like always had. This is not something we invented. This is 300,000 years. Like Dominic on the savannah, if you haven't eaten in a day or two, you're making ketones from fat. An important characteristic is that your brain can use glucose, but it can't use fat, and it can use ketones. So because we often run low on blood sugar, there's not just constant carbohydrate availability, especially on the savannah, right? There's no peanut butter cups, Lucky Charms on the savannah. Like we don't have constant abundant availability of carbohydrates in an ancestral context. So what do you do when you run out of carbohydrate? Do you keel over and die? No. Does can your brain use fat? Your brain can't use fat because fat doesn't cross the blood brain barrier. You have a very like selectively permeable, your blood brain barrier protects your brain from a lot of uh, foreign substances, larger compounds getting in there. So you have to turn fat into ketones in order for your brain to keep chugging along whenever you're in a low carbohydrate state. So again, if you're exercising, if you're eating low carb to begin with, or if you're fasting or starving, in any of these contexts, your body is already going to be making ketones as this like, super efficient metabolic substrate to power your body and especially your brain. My question that I had like 5 years ago was like, hey, ketones are super efficient. A lot of people feel really good when they're 2 hours into a run, they have runner's high, or when they're fasting, a lot of people have these like peaks of feeling really clear and euphoric when they're fasting. Like, why is it that you know it feels so good to have ketones circulating in your system? Is there a way I can go to the store and just buy a shot of ketones without having to jump through all these hoops, without having to like carb restrict or do a ketogenic diet? Or like, is there a way I can just have that fuel immediately available? And that was the like dumb slash smart question that led us to where we are today, where it was non-trivial to do. It was very like no one had done it before at any kind of scale. We launched the world's first ketone drink, got a multi-million dollar contract with the Department of Defense Special Operations Command in 2019. They were extremely interested in exogenous ketones for physically, cognitively demanding missions. So it did a lot of work with them, still are ongoing, doing work with the Department of Defense. And after 3 years of working with the DoD, we figured out a way to scale up our supply chain and make the formula taste better. Like the V1 tasted like absolute battery acid. It still tastes kind of crazy. It still like definitely tastes like rocket fuel, but um, a lot, a lot more drinkable. And in January of last year, January of 2022, we launched to the consumer world. We launched Ketone-IQ, and now we're in Sprouts grocery stores nationwide. We're in Equinox, Earth Bar. We're in a bunch of stores or on Amazon. We're just out here in the world partnering with a lot of people, and it's been a really fun adventure and it's cool. I just love hearing all the ways that people are using it because we're just helping people send it, helping people to like go for a great run or have really good stamina at their office job or study for the LSATs or whatever they're trying to do. We're like empowering people to do that in a way that's not just like jacking them up with caffeine or slamming a bunch of sugar, which isn't too metabolically healthy for you. That like we're helping people to go get after it and live their best lives, which I don't know. I just think ketones should be everywhere. I think it's like a fundamental fuel source that should be everywhere. It should be ubiquitous. It should be like 10% of global calories should come from ketones. And there's probably a lot easier ways to get rich than doing this. But like, that's not what's important to me. Like, again, it's like, I'm sure that that will happen by just creating something valuable, interesting in the world. Like that the shareholder value will be maximized. But like, what gets me out of bed in the morning is the like, hey, let's create something novel, new, fun in the world. And yeah, it's doing it live. I feel like we're in the middle of it. I like don't consider it like work's not done, job's not finished, but it definitely feels like it has good momentum to it right now.